I'd like to call to order the special board meeting of June 24th. The roll call, please.
You want to do the pledge first? Try to follow.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Aldrich.
Here.
Beckman is absent with notice. Fox.
Here.
Verplank.
Here.
Phelps.
Here.
And Meridian Miller absent with notice.
Okay, would you all please silence your cell phones and try not to text during the meeting? It shouldn't be horribly annoying. Could we have an approval of the agenda, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Is there discussion? All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Moving on, we have public comment. Please state your name and where you're from. Please keep your comments respectful and to the point. You have 3 minutes, and please remember this is not a debate, and direct your comments to the chair.
This is the podium.
This is the podium.
Kirk Harrier, the city manager, City of Saugatuck. I wanted to say something to the board regarding the new item that you have on there, new business item. If you're looking at something that might be helpful in your deliberations, if you talk to the property owner down there and maybe you would run through a scenario where maybe boats were parked there and have the fire boat come in so that everybody can kind of see what's going on, that might be helpful. But I don't think, I know I haven't seen what operations, how it impacts, but it might help both sides kind of see what the problems are. So, just something to think about. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Chris Mandel, Deputy Chief for the Fire District. Take minutes and do this at the same time. Two things. I just have very much support working with our neighbor and trying to come to a conclusion where this works for everybody and can be done safely. The two concerns are that ever since the cease and desist order was served, that particular business has continued to operate in the area that is currently being used without permission. So I have some concerns that they're going to follow whatever agreement you guys come to. Number one, and then number two, in just breezing through the draft agreement, I didn't see any kind of a fee structure for actually renting that property. And I know most of the other street ends end up paying somewhere around the $2,500 range for the 33 feet of the street end. So I just want to make sure that this business is being treated appropriately, even if that money goes through the fire district directly back to the city. So that would be my only two things that I would hope you can discuss. Thank you.
Josh Sherrington, owner of the property in question. My curious is he brought up the issue with the boats parking there and everything else. We had prior tenants that were there that parked the boat there, the bakers. Why was that not an issue addressed at that time? Why is it an issue now and not for the 3 years that they were there? And they parked on the north side of the property. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Todd?
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to, we're talking about two different things. We're talking about the land and we're also talking about the riparian rights, correct? So, it was our opinion that the riparian issue is not resolved. So it is some question as to whether or not we have the legal right to actually park boats on the north side of the property. I think that was our view as it relates to the cease and desist, because it has not been adjudicated as to whether or not that riparian boundary, just because there was a riparian boundary expert, I think those of you who've done your homework on this, is that this is going to go to circuit court. The circuit court is going to determine where the riparian boundary lines are. So it is still some question as to whether or not we are encroaching by having our boats parked on the north side, or whether the fire district is actually encroaching the Harrington property by having fire boats there. So that is still up for debate and will be determined by a court in the coming months. I think that was our view as it relates to the, the cease and desist order. We were also taking direction from the city in terms of how we should communicate and how the communication was going to happen. So we definitely, to Chris's point, we definitely want to work with the fire district. We do not want to be a hazard to the public. That wasn't our intention. When we rented the property was listed as having 3 permitted slips on all 3 sides. We built a business plan and a business model around what was listed by the property agent. As Josh mentioned, there has been boats parked on that north side at various times for years. We're hoping to work out, a favorable solution to get us through this summer. I guess I just wanted to make sure that, that this riparian issue is not resolved. It is being contested. The Harringtons are going to have a riparian survey, and a court will have to determine where those riparian boundaries are. Thank you.
Someone else? Okay. I guess these both are interrelated, so let's just hear from council, from the board now, how we what we want to do with it.
Well, if they think it's gonna go to court, not a lot of decisions should be made right now then. I'm thinking the riparian rights are what they are, according to this sketch here. Now, and this is, it's like if somebody came down to our property, this is one of the street ends, and decided, oh, we're gonna open up shop down here, take over space. I don't think it's right, and doing this is setting up a bad precedent for every other street end in town.
I think we need to understand that the fire district is would only be one party to this agreement. There's the property owner, City of Saugatuck, and us. So even were we to approve this today, it's not an agreement that's enforced until both of the other 2 sign exactly the same thing. So I think maybe temperatures can lower based on everyone's knowledge that everyone agrees, or we don't, make any difference. I am inclined to agree with Kurt that I don't know the answer to this stuff. It would be interesting to see in real, as opposed to diagrams where the boat on the the boats in the diagram, this is the big diagram, or this small, is to see how that all works down there in 1, 2, or 3, 4 potential scenarios involving the district, fire department, needing to get into action down there, and potential situations, or potential circumstances involving the other boats, the rental boats, or whatever. Even with that, again, I go back to the first comment. We can only apply our approval or lack of it as 1/3 of the parties involved here. But as I say, in any case, without, and maybe I'm being, I don't know what, attempting for too much expertise here, but I'd like to see what happens when these guys have to get and I suppose it's mostly the boat that's on the smaller boat that's on the south side of the pier, or whatever it is, dock. That has to get out now. And I would argue, I mean, it would seem to me that, I don't know, you could tell, but that would be the case when the boat needs to move the most, that would be the boat that needs to move the quickest, because that's a rescue boat and whatever, I don't know, whatever. But that's the one that has potential navigation issues getting out of the slip or whatever the hell it is. I'd like to see that before I feel comfortable, even with 1/3 of the agreement, saying yes or no.
I think that's reasonable.
The photos, and I've been actually paying attention since this came up, and there's this large boat there that, I don't, that looks like it does take up a lot of room. I don't know what it is.
Touring boat?
Is that it? Yeah.
I'm sorry,
And
what is it?
It's a touring boat, that's,
Oh, it's touring.
that's got the big
I'm
top
sorry, I just
on
couldn't
it.
hear you.
It's a Duffy electric boat.
okay.
You're
The orange
no.
one. Yes, I've seen it.
Those are on the other side.
Oh,
Those
not
are
the
on the
picture I
front.
saw. It was, I saw a photo of it.
We get people on and off there, but they don't park there.
Oh, okay. That's,
I've seen them parked there, so it's for more than a
Well,
little
not
while.
since we've
Behind
been
us.
told not to.
Orange.
So we were told not to, so we didn't.
Okay, but we can come up with an agreement, the agreement is going to be where things are parked, from what I understand. But I would like to see how things move and how, you know, the worst, the best, and see what happens. I guess, this is hard to decide on. And right now, we just have to get through the season. And then we can talk about riparian rights, and we've received nothing that says, the city, as far as I know, Kirk, has received nothing that the Harringtons are going to,
yeah,
just verbal, okay. So we haven't seen anything else other than what we have. So I think discussing riparian rights right now is just not the issue. I think just getting through the season and doing our best to be good neighbors and get through the season, and then we'll move on.
Part of the reason for that, I think, is that it's not inconceivable that you could go to the expense of a riparian survey that shows exactly the same things we've already got, and then de facto there's an agreement on what the riparian rights are, without a court.
Well, or it can go to court.
Or it can go to court.
If that's what we need to do, and I get, from what I understand, only the courts can determine riparian rights, so. So that is what it is, but that's not what we need to deal with today. We need to deal with getting along and making sure that public safety is at the top of everybody's mind and just doing this properly. That's my feeling on the board.
Yeah, the safety part of it's the biggest thing. You know, I like seeing those boats on the water, but a lot of those people have no idea what they're doing on the water. I've had to throw my boat in reverse several times because they decide they're going across in front of me. A 30,000-pound boat doesn't stop real fast. People in the donuts and your little old boats, somebody's going to get hurt because they aren't trained right when they go out, as far as I'm concerned.
You could also make that point about
Most
half the
everybody.
kayakers and all
Kayakers
everything
and
else
everybody,
that's
yeah.
gone up and down
You know,
the
the
road.
whole river's a problem for most people, but it's a big safety issue, as far as I'm concerned.
But that's neither here nor there
No,
either.
no.
Right now, we have to deal with some kind of an agreement to let these people run their business and let the fire department run their business. Or you can decide something else, but,
what's the other something else?
well, you're not deciding it will go to the city.
Okay.
Because this is the city grants the
Oh,
license, so.
yeah.
That's right, that's, you know, we lease our street ends, and then we lease it to Singapore Yacht Club.
But I would be for going down and having a demonstration and you guys showing us what the problems are, possibly then John can work on the problems as you see it through your eyes, or this can go up to the next level. John?
I would also, if I could make the recommendation, that, and I would recommend that anybody from the fire department on us, anybody from the board, go through our experience, customer experience, in terms of how they are trained, and get on one of the boats and operate it, and come back to the dock, going down the river, and have us assist you by bringing the boat in. So I certainly recognize that you know, it's our business, and that you don't necessarily, you know, agree with us presenting this experience to Saugatuck visitors. It's very clear.
I like seeing them wrong. Yeah,
Clear that you
I
feel
like
that
seeing
way,
them wrong.
but I don't know how to put the toothpaste back in the tube on this, so.
That's not an easy decision. And that's not an easy spot to dock a boat either. There's a lot of current there.
Correct. So I would, you
That's why
know,
we park the boats for them. They
Yeah.
come in,
and
we
we put
assist
in,
them, then we dock the boat.
Yeah.
Okay, and as I've talked to John and to Greg, I understand that the current in that situation is not good, and nobody, I'm sure you didn't realize the current was like that when you rented the building, as
In
well as
December.
as well as the fact that you didn't have all three sides of it. I mean, I bought a house with a parking lot to find out that, no, that's not your parking lot, lady, that belongs to the city. So, you know what? Stuff happens. So, now we need to deal with this. So,
When you rented the property, they said that dock was,
Yeah, there's been a boat.
yeah, I'd be happy to provide, you could pull up the listing from 2016 by Coldwell Banker on the internet right now, and it clearly states that there was 3 permitted slips on all 3 sides of the property. And I can send you the link to the advertisement. You know, that was communicated to us by our, the Harringtons and David Halls. We didn't just, I understand what you're saying.
Mhm.
We didn't just, I mean,
yes, the
we built
property
the
was
whole business, we
misrepresented.
spent a ton of money based on what we were told.
Right.
And signed a 7-year lease.
Yeah.
We would not,
We were
we would
given
not,
permits to put the docks along that
yeah, we would
side,
not
like-
be there if we did not.
Yeah. You thought there was more property there than there is.
yeah. I
No,
don't
that's-
know how that's,
But the city gave us permits to make the docks on that side.
Well,
so-
okay, but that's all water over the dam, so to speak. There's a lot of that lately. But, right now, we have to deal with keeping people safe and keeping your business in operation for the rest of this year. So, I don't know if you have any big objections to the agreement that was drawn up.
We don't have a fully legible copy of it. We were waiting for that. That has the,
I thought you gave
Markups.
them,
The drawings and
the
exhibits, all 3 exhibits.
there never was 3 exhibits, so.
I was wondering about that, because I got pages in there.
I know, there's no exhibits.
Just
so, I mean, this just seems a lot, you know, simpler than, we're making it out to. So if you had a chance to see our operation, where essentially, here's what we would agree to, is, only using that north dock to get customers off the boat and return the boat to any other dock on any other side, okay? We are docking a boat there currently. It's a Duffy Electric boat. You can see it if you leave the meeting here and you drive by. We've intentionally pulled it all the way back toward the street to provide the most access for the inflatable fireboat should it need to depart.
Right.
I think the issue is the concern, and it's legitimate, if, for example, if we're not open, if there's nobody there to very quickly, navigate a boat or accommodate a situation where there's a call, obviously there's a concern if there's one of those big donut boats docked there, we're closed, and there's an emergency call. Of course, that is a legitimate concern, and we would agree in writing that we will not dock overnight, particularly off hours when we're closed, any boat it would be west of where the end of the fireboat would be, right? Or anything that would, potentially obstruct the inflatable. So the only purpose that we would have for that north dock is in hours of operation, returning boats to that dock for safety purposes and to make it easier for the customer. And then the employees, the customer gets off, the employees put the boat away. We would agree for that to be the only purpose for that dock, and that the only dock on that north side, the only boat on that north side of the dock would be pulled all the way back, essentially next to the inflatable. So the inflatable has the most available space to exit during hours when we're closed. As it relates to the access to the dirt, I guess is what I'm saying. Listen, I completely understand. It was my fault for, when I read the street end lease agreements, I thought that part of the street end lease agreement was that the leasee had to provide public access, couldn't restrict public access to the shoreline or to the dirt, essentially, right? I thought that's the way the agreement read. And forgive me, that building was in very rough shape when we moved into it. And we have used that area to build docks, and I apologize. I did not understand that that was a restricted area. Now, we do have a concern that, and Chief Janik, I didn't realize that you were under the impression that that gate was locked. That gate has never been locked since we've been there in 3 years. That gate has always been without a padlock, and was easy to get in and out. I didn't realize it was the intention of the fire department to keep it locked. So if it's your intention to restrict that area, that grassy area along the shoreline, we will do whatever we can to comply with that, with both our employees and customers. Just understand that we need, in an emergency, we'll need to have some access. That gate, the Harringtons allowed the fire district to actually build that fence and connect it to their building. So that fence does actually go across the boundary line. So if we could move that section of fence, so at least in an emergency, customers could leave the north side of the garage door building and exit that way. And if you want to reconstruct a fence down to the water line towards the water to make sure that there's no, the public is not stepping on that grass, then we will comply with that. I didn't know. I did not know that that was a major rub, so I apologize.
All right. So I guess we have to decide whether we want to have a demo or whether we want to agree or disagree to go along with the agreement. That's a board decision that has to be made. So
The sublease agreement?
yeah, we can either go along with the sublease agreement.
You got a copy of it? The
You
sublease
do have the
agreement?
sublease agreement without the addendums. The addendums, I believe, I don't know what they were.
So the problem is that there's a drawing that's identified in the drawing, and that absent that drawing, the agreement clearly applies to a drawing, right?
Okay, so if we
And
do
so-
the drawing, we get the drawing set up,
Yeah.
and are you good to go along with that, and we can work this out?
Assuming the drawing only reflects what's there.
Yeah,
That's the intent of the drawing, I think,
yeah.
is to represent physically what's there now, in terms of buildings and...
Yeah, but in terms of the restricted area that's cited, that I just want to understand where the
Right.
restricted area is, the round boats are specifically called out. I'm not sure if we've defined docking, mooring, I'm not sure, I just want to make sure. What we don't want to do, here's our difficulty. This place is open to the public. As you mentioned, the public are driving these boats. So if one of our employees look away and a donut boat returns because they have to go to the bathroom in the restricted area, and I understand we're on surveillance, that I don't want to be back here in a couple
No,
weeks.
I don't want to be back here.
You know, so we want to comply, but we want to just give ourselves the best chance to comply.
We don't want to make it difficult either.
Right.
And I
So-
think that the thinking, at least as I understand it, on the round boats is that, and restrictions on the round boats and what have you, is that in any area, of the boats in question are the most challenging to maneuver quickly or I've been on them, so I know what I'm talking about to a certain extent.
Yeah.
You know, you turn and then you wait
Yeah.
15 seconds,
Yeah, they're not
15
real
minutes, and then it
maneuverable.
starts to turn over steady.
Yeah.
But they're not exactly pointed here and
Right.
it goes here kind of thing.
Yeah. So I think those should be prohibited from,
Docking there.
docking. So the definition of docking would be just,
Leaving.
you know, an empty boat that's just
Right,
left there
yeah.
tied up. So, but we would like to be able to,
For a quick,
for a quick public get on,
Yeah.
have a nice time, thank you for coming to Saugatuck.
Mhm.
Get off the damn boat, the employee puts it away and
Right.
returns it to the other side of the property.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
And we
I'm good
would,
with
you know,
that.
we would have it in our training manual and train the employees that that's part of our closing procedure, is to make sure that that north dock is completely free, as, I've
Up
described.
towards the end, yeah.
Right.
John, is it your intent that, what do you, the Duffy boat or whatever you call it, that's long-term a part of the business for sure?
So we have a 2-year agreement with the Chicago Electric Boat Company to operate those. So I've kind of stuck with them for 2
Mhm.
years. I don't,
And there's no room for that on the south side, or whatever, the other side?
So I've rented 2 docks from the Deweys. So two of the outside docks I've rented from the Deweys. So I can put those Duffy boats on those outside docks at the Deweys, if that would please the
Those
fire
are
district.
those are larger.
Those are larger, and then as long as I could maybe put a little boat between the piling. There is a piling
There's a
there
piling,
because there
yeah.
was boat stock there. I mean, I believe the fire district didn't install that piling. I believe a previous Harrington tenant installed that piling, a fishing charter business of some kind.
Nobody.
Fire district
Years
installed
ago.
the piling,
Oh, they installed the piling?
yes.
Oh, okay, so
The
that's...
boat that was there was the fire board chairs, Bill Kay, about 10 years. What?
Not me. No, I was gonna ask you about that.
It's my turn now to speak.
Oh, sorry.
But it was his private boat, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. And it was there, and it was one boat, it wasn't 1,800 trips. It was one boat. So when Josh said,
But it was
why is it a
constant,
problem
yeah.
now? It wasn't a problem, Bill Kay's boat wasn't a problem. Neither was the DNR boat that was there. We've never had that problem. The problem is when we had all the activity with the rental boats, that all of a sudden it seemed like there were a lot more rental boats from the previous year.
Well, and to be fair and to be clear, the proposed agreement, as I read it, envisions mitigating that to a great degree, to a substantial degree, to a degree greater than even would have been the case for one boat
Mhm.
moving in there, because there are physical restrictions on moving boats and all the rest of the stuff. So it's not like we're deaf to that at all. In fact, I would argue, as I say, that's the biggest part of this, is getting that, quote unquote, under control.
We did not have that issue. I've been on that dock 20 years, and I haven't had any issues with that. It's when the operation changed to one boat, to Endless Summer being there, and Bill Kay's boat being there, to change it. DNR Steel would come and go. It was 65 feet. And we never had a problem there.
No, but I'm saying, and I understand what the concern is, but I'm saying, as I read the agreement, it speaks to that concern, pretty dramatically so. I mean, literally, this is what's, and the other thing that I think is worth mentioning in there is that agreement also has a section or paragraph or whatever about kind of as regards the business or whatever, a stand-down situation when the department arrives. Lights and sirens on the boats, I would argue even adding to that paragraph, lights and sirens on the vehicles as they get there, and that's all you have to hear, and it's stand down, and it's communicate with the boats by
We've done
hand,
that in the past.
whatever,
Yeah.
exactly, what I'm
They park
saying.
right in our driveway and everything.
And
We've
that's-
allowed them to.
Yeah, but I mean
Lights
everything,
and
light it up,
run.
and which I think is only smart. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not,
We've tried to cooperate. We, definitely, we are on attention on the calls that have transpired. To Lauren's point, we have given formal permission for the fire district to park anywhere they can park during an event. And we did have probably 6 or 7 fire district vehicles on a Saturday
Saturday, yeah.
all over our property. I have no objection to that.
That's what an emergency is
That's
about.
why the emergency's for, so.
So,
The biggest, I think probably the biggest thing is the donut boats being tied up there.
yeah,
If
and
they're
that
gonna-
has been addressed.
Yeah, and that's been addressed,
We
so
addressed
it's,
it.
yeah, I'm fine with that.
So, do we?
Can I ask you a question here? On this revised from what we drafted, the officers, the lawyer and I, this was changed to say the dock area within a sub-licensed area may be used as a rental boat departure and return point subject to the terms thereof, so are the rental boat operators allowed to go to that north side?
to return their boat, yeah.
Return to disembark or return?
No, to return.
Yeah.
They're gonna allow that.
By return, as I understand it, that means somebody driving the boat, Scott's driving the boat coming in, they have an employee there,
Help tie up.
doesn't even help to tie up, takes control of the boat.
Mhm.
Once the boat either is at or hits the dock or crashes into the dock, they get out, and your guy, the business owner, is responsible for grabbing the boat
And
and
moving it over.
moving it out of there, around the other side.
That's what we do. The boat doesn't even get tied up. The employee literally holds the boat
Until everybody gets off.
until everybody gets off. Thank you. They get in the boat. I mean, the boat is in custody. It's just how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the definition of return as I interpret it.
And we can make that clear in the agreement,
Mm-hmm.
if that's the problem.
But we don't have to solve this for them, we have to.
Solid for us.
solve
For-
it for
Yes,
us.
for us. So if you want to continue on with the agreement, you can do that, or, I'll take a motion to do whatever.
I'll make a motion to go on with the agreement.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote?
Would you like to add the draft exhibit C that I put together to this, or do you want to
Is
see it?
this
at least?
what
Yeah, I can throw it up
Exhibit C
on the,
is? Oh,
on the
okay,
screen if you want.
I think we have Exhibit C.
And only because I didn't think anybody else knew how to do the drawing, was the only reason I did something for you, but, so essentially, they would use the 8 feet up to that existing piling, that we would sub-license, and then we'd maintain the existing 25 feet of the 33 feet, which is the south half of what we currently license, as I interpret it. And then that should allow them the width they need for their regular retro boats,
Mhm.
and not the donut boat. I guess.
What's the width on one of the donut boats, 8 feet?
11.
11?
And the other thing that's not in there is written, is the Duffy boat on the other side. Moving the Duffy boat.
Move,
Locating the other.
move it the others, over to Dewey's.
Yes.
Yes.
So just so we're clear though, so we can depart and return from there. So we're not allowed to do that at the Dewey's.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
That's not-
same
Wait a minute, you
problem.
can depart and return from where, excuse me?
The
On the
north
north
side.
on the
That's
north
not
dock,
what we had
so
wrote.
the same, so the boats, all the boats, the north dock,
Yeah.
we would return. as we've done, they dock at the Dewey's, we move them over when there's a customer, they board, goodbye.
I didn't draft it that way.
No.
No, I did not.
So, until we get a handle on how it's gonna be drafted, I probably should withdraw my motion.
No, wait a minute. The orange boats,
They're tying those up over on the other side, the south side.
yeah,
They would just come in, drop off, and be moved right away.
right. What kind of agreement do you have with Dewey's, John? Just to park there? What kind of an arrangement do you have with the Deweys? Can you depart those orange boats from there?
No. I mean, so we don't, just the Duffys go at the Dewey's.
Oh, the Duffys,
The
oh, that's
Duffys.
right, oh, I'm sorry. No, I don't see a problem with the orange boats leaving from the north side of, that's all they're doing.
Tied up there.
They're not tying
We
it.
won't
So-
tie them up there.
Just
So-
don't tie them there.
So, can I just clarify? So, and maybe this would help, because it's, I think in our heads, they don't typically depart and return from the return dock, okay? So, in terms of the activity, I just don't want you to think that every boat is departing from that dock and every
Okay.
boat is...
Yeah, they're
is
departing from the south
They're
side.
departing from wherever they are
Yeah.
at those other slots, and
They're just coming back to that spot.
coming back to that spot, and quickly the boat gets returned to us by an employee that's been trained and has experience in doing that.
Okay, just so those orange boats don't get tied up at that dock, I don't see a problem. If they get tied up there, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
Correct, I agree.
And we won't do
So-
that.
Yeah.
So, all we can do is try this.
Yeah, do we have to have it written in stone at this point? I
Well, we can write it in
mean,
stone,
yeah,
and if it doesn't
um,
work, we can change it.
yeah.
So,
I kind of want to see the operation, maybe on a 4th of July weekend would be a good time to see what that's like, if you want to go through the test.
you have to pay your waiters.
Yeah.
I think we can move on. I think all we can do is try this.
Because the way you have it drafted is the way we're thinking,
I beg your pardon?
the way you have it drafted is it the way we're thinking right now, or
This is different.
this is different?
Right.
Would you agree to something like this?
I think the whole concern on all this was the volume of traffic coming back to the north side. That's where the dynamics changed.
Mhm.
The quantity of boats and that changed. Everyone started talking about it. This isn't something new. It wasn't just me. Now I have it in writing from officers. We can't get by this donut boat.
Yeah.
But they're not
So-
gonna put it
They're
down.
not tying them up there. They're
And if even...
dropping off, they're being moved.
And even if one of...
It was there the whole time, they sent me the email. It was
I-
there Saturday, I guess, that's why they call them accidents, it only takes one time.
Mm.
So the whole premise, after talking with the attorney, we worked on this Friday afternoon, Saturday, and a Monday to get this done for the mayor by Monday night. And that's how we drafted this. All boat returns are gonna be west and south. That's what we were doing. And then what we had put in there was storing the smaller boats on the side, because it was negligible, how they came over towards us. That's what we thought. And they would bow out, we thought, well, there's an achievable compromise, we
Mhm.
thought, was having
That small
smaller
boats tie
boats
up
along
on
the
one
side
end.
there, right. That was our deal, where, again, it was run across legal, was run across all the officers. If you guys know better, then go ahead and.
I wouldn't put it that
go with
way,
it.
Greg, but I
You
would,
know.
I would say, I mean, I don't think we know better, but this is a fluid situation here, and I don't know that consideration up till this point, because I take your point, if there was a donut boat back there, or in any way, shape, or form, hard to move from its location there, that's a problem. And I think we have mitigated that, and as I say, if the emergency happens, the trucks and people arrive, the lights go off, the sirens go off, they get to the boat. I can't imagine by the time that all takes place, all arriving, taking the cover off the boat, lowering the boat into the water, which is not I'd like to see it, but I don't think it gives a quick process. That having had all that happen, that there's gonna be a boat sitting at the end of that. If somebody's coming in, they're going, go out. If they're sitting there, they're going, move the frickin', we will pull the boat out of it, at least as I hear it. So, how it was written as of 2 o'clock, I don't know about that. I'm just saying, what we're looking at seems to address the concern. That's why I seconded what you said.
The compromise in this agreement is no orange boats on the north side of the building, but they can land their boats there because of the current. There has to be a compromise. So that's the compromise. And I don't know anything about boats,
Well,
but
then
I
you need
think
to
it'll
change
work.
that, because the boats are 11 feet and that's an 8-foot. So how's that gonna work?
What's what?
Well, it's been working.
Well, if you're having the donut boats, which is what you want, to return their 11 feet, they only allowed 8 feet.
So can I make a recommendation? I understand that, Wayne, it's valid. So if I could just refer to
Sure.
this. So we could actually, I mean, there's a couple feet here. So we could make this a designated donut boat return
That last slip?
area, that last slip on the outside. And
Would
then
you
that
do
would
opening?
ensure, not only is there more distance for clearance this way, but you've got a couple extra feet beyond, so it would be very difficult, I think, for us to not be able to, because in particularly if the donut boat needs to be moved, it's even quicker and easier to get it out of the way in an event of an emergency if this is the designated donut boat return dock. And we could, I'm willing to put signs up for, customers that say, no donut boats here. I can only do that, though I can't drive the boat for them when they're...
But you could add it to the brief.
What's that?
You can add it to the brief.
Yeah, I could add to, yep, exactly.
Yeah, they give you plenty of room there if you
So-
wanted that north finger pier.
So that's the compromise.
Does it have to be redrawn?
I was gonna try and measure it on mine to see if that makes 11 feet between that outside line and...
It's close enough.
Yeah.
Pretty close, yeah. Do you want to amend your motion, Scott, or what?
I don't want to amend it too.
Well, you can amend it to that general understanding and let somebody write it
Amend
down.
to just
Yeah.
using that north finger pier for the donut boats to come in.
It's gonna be more difficult for people to do that. It's gonna be harder for them to do that, because they're essentially have to go right back, right? So you see the...
Well, if they come in if they're coming in from the north side, they just come straight into it.
Well, we try not to have them cross traffic if they can avoid it, but a lot of times they do, but...
Oh, yeah,
But I think we can manage that. We will do our very best to manage that, and,
And from the middle of that line where the blue and green meet to the edge of their finger pier is 11 feet. So, on the scale drawing.
are we ready to vote? All discussions done?
I'm fine with it.
Okay. Stacy, you got?
You want to be able to work with it a little bit.
Yeah. I don't have anything to say. I'm thinking.
Dan?
I seconded the motion, so.
All right. Okay, can we have a roll call vote, please?
What was the motion then? To move forward with the proposed agreement, including the proposed exhibit C, is that?
Yes.
Okay.
With the,
With
With
the addition of that, what do you call it?
Move it, just dock on the donut boats when they return into the north slip.
And, donut.
Returning them, not docking them.
Yeah,
Return.
Return.
To the north and west finger pier?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Phelps? Or the
No.
roll call vote, right?
Yes.
Okay, Phelps? Fox?
Yes.
Aldrich?
Yes.
And Verplank?
Yes. Okay, are there any other public comments?
I think the only resolved, just while we're all here, the only resolved issue is what to do about the current locked gate.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, there,
Well, I think the reason that happened was because we came down there multiple mornings and it was left wide open, so that was where our concern came in, that a child or someone could wander through our licensed area and fall in the water. And because it wasn't being pinned shut the way it was originally pinned, so that was where that got added, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Can you add one of those,
There is a slide pin, originally there was a slide pin on the back, but
I
we
mean,
found.
the high one where the kids can't reach, like they do at the swimming
That
pool?
doesn't solve the issue of it getting left open, so
Right.
I think, so, I'm just trying to think. Yeah.
It wasn't us.
Are you-
Yeah, I don't know who it was, but yeah.
It could have been us. because we
Are
were
one of
working
the owners always there, or are?
Yeah, God help me, I'm always there.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know if you
24 hours.
guys were just employees, I mean, no, I don't mean, you know, I mean during operation,
So
do you have
we-
kids running?
But that's
it?
So we
what
have
Yeah.
had, so from time to time, so here's what happens.
Mhm.
People go to smoke a cigarette or talk on the phone. And because there's a door on the north side of the building, and they see that grassy area, you know, they might, and, I think that's,
Can we build a fence to the water so that they can't get to our area?
Because even,
You know,
I think even if we moved the fence to the stake line or where the stake was put, then they wouldn't give them room to walk between the wall of the building, I don't think, would it? Even if we cut it back, I don't think you could even sneak through there.
Correct.
It's
So it's
not,
it has to, it
it's not a
can't be
real wide area
a
there.
foot.
Door to the side of the building, if we need a door there. You know,
oh, move the gate, yeah.
so we have a door.
Yeah,
At the
so we
side of
could
the
put a
building.
gate, we could put our own gate in on the Harrington's property.
Well, yeah, I guess,
Does the
you
fence
know,
make it?
that'd be best, but I guess according to the police
Yeah, I was gonna say,
available
doesn't go
property
straight in,
line,
yeah, to the building.
you just have a couple of,
Okay.
you got about 20 inches there, don't you? Or am I wrong on that?
Like 2 feet.
Between the building and the stake? Is there enough room to put a gate in there?
A 20-inch gate, I mean, I think there's enough distance for a person if there was an emergency to be able to get out, right? So, I mean, that's probably our concern, is that there was an incident, there's no way to get out that side of the building with the gate locked. So I think we would want some way to get out of there.
Did you want a second exit in case there was a fire or something on that other side?
Yeah.
seems like we can arrange a gate, and
Yeah, it's just a small grassy area, so I
I guess what
assume-
I see as the problem is the gate gets closed at night. I mean,
So
that-
can I maybe make a suggestion, is can we get a stronger spring that makes it more self-closing and it latches automatically? I mean, because right now, I think it's just, over time, it's just kind of the weeds and it's just older. So if it was if it could be just more self-closing,
I think it's got a manual slide pin latch on the back, is how it always was. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Like that.
Right, it's just, or currently is. But
We unlock.
All right, is there any fire board comment?
Public comment.
Oh, Scott?
My question is, what's gonna be the repercussions for the violation of the cease and desist order that we drafted? We spent $1,000 drafting that with our lawyer, and it was violated. Nothing's being done about it. Then another question is what we're gonna do about the $4,000 lawyer bill involved in this, when most of it didn't even involve the fire district itself.
We'll look at that administratively. Anybody else?
I have one that's completely unrelated, but, or to this at all, but, Adrian went to heaven.
Oh, God.
No,
If you could please keep the Betts family in your prayers.
yes,
And,
today,
yeah,
What the hell?
yeah, about an hour and 20 minutes ago or so. Not a great way to end the meeting, I know, but I figured at least you all know that they definitely are gonna need our support and whatnot for the next upcoming weeks
yes.
and months and so on, so.
Okay, and with that, I'll adjourn the meeting.